Hey guys, this is Simply Imaginary People of Frankie and welcome to part 3. So last time we left off we had UV mapped our piece of clothing and we were in Blender. So what we want to do now is we want to add back faces so that this part isn't see-through. Although it looks fine here, it isn't actually. So to do this, what we want to do is we want to solidify it. So literally we want to create an identical layer but where the faces are facing towards the inside and not towards the outside. Doing this is seriously going to up our poly count though, because if you think about it, we're literally duplicating everything. So first we're going to click here on this regroup 04 and then we're going to go to the wrench and we're going to add a modifier, solidify. It's going to look really stupid at the beginning. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure fill rim is ticked, and under thickness here we're going to add another 0. And I like to add a 3 at the end. That's the thickness I like, but you can pick what you want. And what you can see now is that literally, if we zoom in, we've like created a fat rim where the inside now exists. And we're just going to apply that. If we leave it like this, our poly count is going to be double what it was before. So we were at about 6,000, now we'd be about 12,000. And we're not allowed to go over 10,000 for top or for a bottom, and not allowed to go over 20,000 for a full body outfit. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this and go to edit mode. What we're going to do is we're going to delete the back faces where we don't need them. So like if I look like on the inside of the arm, I don't see that in game, so I don't need there to be faces on that part. Like the inside of this, where I do need them is on the back of the hood, and here you need on the back of the neck part, because even if I import a sim body here, I'm still going to see part of the back of the coat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this little button down here, and then I'm going to press A so that nothing is selected. And what I need to do is I need to edge split. So I literally need to tell them that the inside layer is not attached to the outside layer at the edges. So to do this, I'm going to zoom in on each part where I want to delete the verts underneath. So I don't need the inside layer for the sleeve, I don't need the inside layer for the front parts of the coat, and I don't need the inside layer for part of the back of the coat. What I am going to leave it is on the hood, and I'm going to leave it on these pockets. I'm also going to leave it on this little thin part in the middle because that's not that many and I could do it, but it would take a lot more time. Also again on this piping here and on the button. But on these big parts I'm going to delete it to reduce my poly count. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press C and I'm going to select only the edge verts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure what I don't do is select a face. So selecting a face would be if I select 3 verts in a triangle and it becomes orange. Don't do that. And what you need to do is you need to, oops, see, I've done it there. You need to select all the verts along one side and all the way around. So here I can keep going up the side because I don't have a face there that would be fully selected if I went around the corner. Sometimes if you go around the corner it's only one triangle and then you've got a problem. So just to show you what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, once I've got part of the side, I'm going to go into the 3D window and I'm going to click spacebar. And in it I'm going to write split. Or I'm going to write edge. It seems it only likes edge. And I'm going to pick the one that says edge split. And you'll see it's no longer highlighted. Now I got up to this corner, and if I start a new part I need to still select that vert at the corner. What you have to make sure is that you don't select the same whole side twice. I'm not going to redo this corner and this corner because every time I edge split I'm literally duplicating the verts. So what I'm doing is I'm making, instead of this edge being one vert that connects the inside and the outside, I'm literally saying the inside layer has a vert and the outside layer has a vert. If I do this again, so if I edge split the same side twice, then I've got 3 verts, and that just again ups my vert count. So here, done the other 2 sides, again press spacebar and it will automatically come up with the edge split. I'm just going to do that for all the pieces where I want to delete the back faces. Now, you might wonder why I solidify the whole thing and then end up deleting part of it again. Because it makes the mesh puffier, so it makes it look a bit more like fabric. And if I only do that with some parts, it's going to look really, really awkward. So, see here, if I'd have selected this one, I would have got a triangle, and I'm not allowed. So I'm going to stop there, and hit split. So yeah, so I like to solidify the whole thing because it gives it a really nice overall look, as if it's a thick fabric. And I'm going to go down. And then go to the next part. This part takes time, but again, I'm telling you, it's worth it. Going on here. Again, I'm starting a new corner. I've got to make sure I still do the corner pieces twice, so this bit again, otherwise it sometimes doesn't work. Oh, accidentally selected the wrong one. Press A to unselect everything and just start again. Sometimes you've got to make the little circle pretty small with your scroll bar. Okay, edge split that, and then edge split these two pieces. Oops, selected a face. Really wish this video had a pause button so you didn't have to watch me edge split the whole thing. Okay, did that part and the last part. Oops. Okay, awesome. So once I've done edge splitting all the parts I want to edit, I'm going to click this button again here, and then I'm going to click A in the 3D window so that it selects everything and I can see every part. And now I'm literally just going to click piece and press L. So last time you pressed L, it selected everything. Now it's only going to select one layer. That is, if you have the right version of Blender. I use the latest portable one. And I'm just going to separate the layers, so always move the one layer away. And the layer you are moving is actually the outside layer, not the inside layer, which is a bit annoying, but that's the way it is. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to press that button in the corner again. And what I can do now is I can literally select this sleeve. And I'll show you here. See, the outside isn't selected, but the inside is. So literally all I'm going to do is I'm going to press delete in the 3D window and press delete first. And then I've deleted the inner layer. And I can do the same thing for the other inside sleeve. I've got to make sure that when I highlight this, nothing is orange in the top one. Otherwise some bits are combined and then you're probably going to get a hole in your mesh. So yeah, deleted both the inside of that. I can delete the inside of this part. Usually I sometimes keep this top part here, but because I have a hood, those parts aren't visible. Again, delete it. Do the same for the other side. It's not highlighting anything up here, so that's good. Delete it. Right, now for the back, as I said, I wanted to keep this part of the back just because I can usually see it. See here, and even if the neck's there, you can still see parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna select bottom part. Make sure I don't select anything else. I'm only going to select that bottom part so you can see it up to there. What I'm also going to do is just get rid of these edges because I don't need those either. Right, so I've pretty much just deleted a load of polys, which is good, and from the front it still doesn't look any different. So now I've got to move these parts back down, so I'm going to press this button again, press A in the 3D window, press L, and literally I'm just going to zoom in and move my parts back over so they fit with my UV map again. Some people like to solidify first and then UV map, but then you've got extra steps because your UV map will be pretty much exactly like completely black, because the inside, the inside layer will be black because obviously there's no lighting inside, and so all this won't be grey but black, and then you've got to do another couple of steps to fix that. So I like these steps more, but it's preference. Right. Make sure it's all lined up. There we go. That looks good. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to export it as a wavefront object, say path 4, and I'm going to go back to no shape. So I don't know if some of you realize some of my meshes used to explode in the Fatmos, and I couldn't figure out why. And in the end I figured that when I did this edge splitting thing and then deleted the verts underneath, it was still leaving some verts left over. So it was like I had random floating verts that weren't actually connected, and then my vert count was so high that it went over the around about 9,000 that Sims can handle, and that's why it was exploding. So this is like an extra step, but it helps. So again, delete materials, and then just go to tools and model clean. Now if you model clean, literally those edges that you split to get merged again. So annoyingly you have to edge split again after this. Whatever you do, once you've finished edge splitting after this step, do not model clean again, because every time you model clean you need to edge split. Right. Again, delete materials, and then I'm just going to export it as a wavefront object and stay with path 4. And then here in Blender I'm just going to delete this one and import the new one. Awesome. And now click here on default, click on edit mode, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to edge split the parts that are still too layered. So go back to this one again so we can edge split and press A so nothing's selected. I deleted the second layer on this part, so I don't need to edge split that. I deleted the second inside layer on this, don't need to edge split that. Didn't delete it on the hood because I wanted to keep it, so I do need to edge split this. Now, what does edge splitting actually do? Sometimes, if you don't edge split, you literally get this horrible black shadow around your outsides. Because literally, if you think about it, if I look at this triangle, if I have a vert, this is my edge, and this is the inside and the outside layer, let's say, then this vert has a problem because the normal doesn't know where it's pointing. So usually a normal, if I have a line here, it'll point orthogonal from the line and say this face points this direction, and that means if the light falls on it, it'll fall from this side and hit here. If I have this point, it doesn't know if the light, if it faces in this direction, or this direction, because it's just a point. And this usually causes some black shadows because the lighting just falls wrong. So when I edge split, instead of having like a point, I make like a flat surface. So I separate this vert into this and this vert and make a flat surface in between, which points in the correct direction again, and then I have no issues. So yes, I splitted that. Forgotten which parts I have split, but missing the whole thing. And then do the same on the other side. For the other part of the hood. Again, try not to edge split the same side twice. And here I deleted all this bottom part, and you can see here it's slightly more grey where I still kept it. So this edge no longer exists, it's only the edges. So all I have to do is edge split the edge where it is still 2 layered, so this part. Don't edge split any more than that. The other part I need to edge split is the pocket, because I didn't delete the underside of that. Do the sides and do the tops. Always go and do the corners twice. And sides. And tops. Again, also need to edge split is this long bit in the middle. So I'm going to do the one side. And the other side, and you always need to do all sides. So even though this vert counts to this side and I've already done it, I still need to do the top and the bottom. I don't bother doing the piping, and I usually don't bother with the buttons because for some reason they never mess up. So once I've done all this, I can now export it to Wavefront Object as Path 5. And I have now, if I show you, go to Groups, Delete, File, Import Wavefront Object, Path 5, and delete my material again. You can right click and say Reset View if you somehow, and then you need to press Shift and like zoom it in. Let it go. Oh, Milkshake's really annoying. With Control you can move it, and with Shift you can zoom in. Right, and now I can show you that now you can see this is no longer see-through, the hood's no longer see-through, and it's only see-through under a certain part. So we now fixed that issue, and that concludes part 3 of pretty much how to make this double-sided. And you only need to do this if your mesh has parts that need to be double-sided. So if you've got like a really tight t-shirt where none of the second side is showing, you don't need to do it. Usually if I have tops that have like a little extra bit down here or like a part of the sleeves, I leave them solid and don't do the body. But I generally recommend, even if you have a t-shirt, making it solid, because it just gives it more that realistic look. Having a second layer, even if you delete it underneath afterwards, does take a bit more time. Yep, so that's the end of part 3. I'll see you for part 4.